Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Center for Online Education at Christ, deemed to be university, I warmly welcome all our students and our distinguished guests to today's session of the Career Launching series. At the Center of Online Education, we take pride in being a student-centric institution, while we offer the flexibility and accessibility of online learning through our 7 online degree programs. Our focus extends far beyond academic delivery. We are deeply committed to supporting our students in their career journey, personal growth, and professional readiness. We understand that education is not just about earning a degree. It is about building confidence, developing relevant skills, and preparing students to succeed in today's competitive and evolving professional landscape. This commitment is the reason we have organized the Career Launch Series, an initiative designed to equip our students with practical insights, industry knowledge, and career guidance from experienced professionals. Through this series, we aim to bridge the gap between academic learning and real-world career expectations. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. Ankur Verma, an international certified career coach and ICF trained coach with over 17 years of professional experience across India and international markets. He holds an MBA from the George Washington University, USA, and has an executive program certification from IIM Calcutta. Prior to becoming a full-time career coach, he held leadership roles at globally recognized organizations such as Ernst & Young, Accenture, Herman, and ITC Infotech, where he was closely involved in hiring, talent evaluation, and capability development. Mr. Verma has trained over 2,500 students and guided numerous professionals in resume building, interview preparation, aptitude readiness, and career strategy. His sessions are highly practical, interactive, and designed to help students align with current industry hiring expectations. We are confident that today's sessions will provide valuable insights and practical guidance that will help our students strengthen their career readiness and move forward with clarity and confidence. We encourage all our students to actively participate in today's session. If you have any question, please feel free to share them in the chat box during the session. We also have a dedicated question and answer segment at the end, where Mr. Ankur Verma will address your questions. I request everyone to make most of this opportunity and engage actively. Thank you, Mr. Ankur Verma, for joining us today and taking the time to support our student committee. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Purvansha. Thanks for having me here. It's an amazing initiative where we are not just only involved in giving you a degree, but also getting in people from the industry trying to share our nits and bits about how things are done at this point. So really appreciate it. Thanks for that opportunity. Good evening, everybody. Okay, let's say if Sanju Samsung in his resume said that he can easily take pressure, he will be able to build his innings when everybody's going out, and he was faking it. What would have happened yesterday? I'm sure we would not be in the semifinals at this point in time. That's where it is. The resume is a very important part that we have. Before we get into the entire part of it, I would like to ask you this question. It may be a little uncomfortable, but let's go with it. Let's say if I pick one aspect of your resume at this point in time, it could be that particular project that you talked about, or that particular sales number that you have, or the particular certification that you have done from any of these platforms that are there. Would you be able to defend it? That's where it happens. It's not that you don't have knowledge. What I've seen in the last 17, 18 years at this point in time, a lot of times the way that resumes are built is changed. Resumes are basically telling people who you are, what you bring on the table, not fortifying it based on the job description that is there so that ATS, you can get through ATS and figure out what happens. There are numerous events that have happened in life where I've interviewed people. They have gone through ATS. When they come to a discussion and they have no idea what they've written on there. It's a sorry figure. Just to let you know, there are organizations that may even blacklist you and your career goes to toss. And at least you can't get into that organization. So let's see how does this go today. Before I start, I want to talk about what I'm not doing today at this point so that we are very clear on what things are. I'm not going to talk about, okay, the Harvard format is good, the IIT format is good. That's irrelevant at this point in time. You can figure that out, whatever suits you, go with it. I'm not going to go for each and every section in the resume, good, bad, ugly. How do you write it? What do you say? I'm not looking at how do you figure out the keywords that needs to be put on ATS so that it gets through. No interview preparation. Uh, Generic advice, a lot. That's there. I'm going to try to wear two different hats in this entire 1 hour that we have. One would be as a recruiter that I've been there. I've seen people. How would I evaluate a resume? How would I judge a person in that case? The second hat would be if I were you, what I will do. Okay. In this session is more about coming across how do I evaluate that resume? How do I build? There will be a certain frameworks I will talk about it, but not very detailed the way that could be there. I'll give you practical, honest tips that are there. We understand few things. We know that at this point in time, any recruiter would come to your resume, would spend 6 to 8 seconds. How do we go about it? What do we do? Everybody has the same type of inputs coming across, the same keywords that are using. My intent would be to, for each aspect of a resume, I'll give you a twist coming across. Again, if you feel comfortable, then go about it, because at the end of the day, you are the person who's going to defend that resume. If you're not comfortable, please don't put anything on your resume. Just understand one thing: the person who's interviewing you at one point in time has been at your seat. They have been there, done that. So they understand how things are, what things are in that fashion. I'll be taking you to a few practical ways of looking at things. We'll be looking at few websites. How do you look at companies? How do I search companies at this point in time that are growing? People may not know about it, and probability competition would be less. So let's take one thing at a time and go ahead in that case. Why you should listen to me at this point. She's already given an introduction about that part of it that is there, but just to highlight on few things, I worked across right from students who are just stepping into the corporate world at this point to senior directors and senior VPs at this point in the career transitioning. So I've seen the entire gamut from start till end. How do we go about it? Been there, done that in both sides of it, being from the recruitment side of it and also being from the place where I'm trying to search jobs. That would be there. I worked with organizations, the biggest names that could be there in the industry, so I understand a lot of hiring processes that are there. We'll touch upon a few things in that case. Um, and I'll give you examples that I've seen, real examples, no names, no organization, no people name, but yeah, certain things that have happened, what has been there for them, what is the end result. We'll share a few things in that case. Before we start to go any further, I'm going to ask you this question. What are you going to do next? Think about it. Everything starts from there. If I don't know my goalpost, where do I kick the ball? If I don't know where I have to go, how do I search my jobs? How do I understand what type of a certification should I do that will take me to that place? So the first and foremost thing is looking at companies that would be there. Now, if I ask anybody at this point, which all companies you want to get into, JP Morgan, Fang, Microsoft, Biocon, you'll give me all these names, which are the names in the industry at this point. Now, if you're thinking about that name, what's happening to the next person who's searching a job? They also go to the same place, I'm sure. What does that mean? Competition increases. So I will try to suggest few ways that you can figure out companies that are growing. If they're growing, that they need people. If they need people, are you available? So let's explore that. That's the first thing that we will do. The next that we will do is more of trying to understand how do you go about reading a job description. A lot of people times they just look at the skills. I have the skills, go apply. There's a certain different ways of understanding, trying to read between the lines that they're talking about, trying to see. They may write certain things on a job description as, okay, if you have this, it is good to have. And at times they just say it's good to have, I don't have it, let's not go about it. Go apply, just see what happens. So we look at how do I would look at a certain job description in that case. And finally, what on your resume you need to cut off. How do you review it? How do you get it reviewed? How about do you write on it? So this is what I'm going to look at in the next hour, that our time that we have. Now, before we search, I want you to ask, I'm going to ask you these three questions again. Sorry, there are going to be a lot of questions, a lot of introspection coming. As I said in the start itself, it's not a direct framework that I tell you this is the framework that you use. It's a thought process that could be that till the time you're not clear what you want to do, the next step doesn't make sense in any fashion. There's a terminology I'll talk about later called spray and pray. Most of the people that I've seen, they would have one set of resume. They'll keep spraying everywhere, sending across to each and every company and hoping it just sticks in that case. So that doesn't work. The first question for you is this: what kind of work makes you lose track of time? When you get up, you say, oh, 3 hours gone. That is a type of work, that is the type of thing that is more innate to you, that comes naturally to you. We figure out that in that case. The second question to figure out what type of a job would make sense to you is, by default, you see everybody coming to you, your friends, your family coming and asking you, how do you do this? How do you repair this? Which type of AI tool do you use at this point in time to solve this? Regularly, people come to you randomly and just asking you the same type of questions. That is the second thing, a skill that you have that you may not have identified at this point in time. The third is, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? No limits. Let's say nothing, everything is in your favor at this point in time. What would you do? Take a moment and just think. It may not happen immediately, but I would request you to sit somewhere, go to a corner. I'm a person of like paper and pen, so I need to put paper and pen on my thoughts. So sit down, no chat GPTing at this point in time. What comes naturally to you for these answers? That could be one place to start with in the entire way. Let's get into the job search side of it. That is the first aspect. How do I know? Where do I need to go? What do I do? There are studies that are saying around 45% of the jobs that you are getting at this point in time is through network. And network could be anything. I'm a dog parent. It could be the place that I take my dog for a walk. That's my network. People who know me, people who trust me at this point in time, people who would help me put their name against my name and propose me to some people. That could be that. That is the strongest way to get a job at this point. Most of the jobs in my career that has been there has been through my network, and people have been very kind to me. Things that happen in that case is your interview is not screwed up. In that case, they will not take you to a lot of places, take you really grill you. In that case, the baseline is set. Yes, you're still grilled in that fashion, but it comes from an easier place that could be there. But a lot of times, what we do is, when I ever ask anybody how you're searching a job, huh? Going to LinkedIn, Naukri, Monster, Internshala, I don't know what all more website have come in. Yes, you go there. I'm not saying don't go there. But at this point in time, when very, very few jobs are sent at that point, it predominantly is through reference that comes in at that point in time. So 90% of the times you're going to the wrong place. And then we say there is no jobs. Jobs are there. We need to figure out in a different way. It's not like it's a process. It's not like I want a job 1 week from now, I start putting in my resumes now, within a week I get it. It doesn't work like that. Believe me, with a person with around 17 years of experience who's been doing this for long, it does not work like that. You would have to build up things at this point in time. In general, this is how people go about it. They'll create a resume, one type of resume, and put everything on it. Whatever they have done, irrespective of whether the company really needs it or not, it will be there on their resume. Let me give you an example. Let's say you go to a shop and you tell the shopkeeper you want a dark blue shirt. And out here, the shopkeeper gets you pink, green, yellow, gray, and black. What's your response? I'm sure you say, are you colorblind or what are you doing? Now, let's say in the same color scheme, he gets you a light blue shirt. Now, compared to the rest of the pink and the green and the gray, I'm sure light blue is somewhere okay compared to a dark blue. Now, here's what I'm trying to say. The dark blue is the job description, is what exactly what the company wants. Now, if you just dump everything of all the colors that you have on the resume, it's pink, blue, it's pink, gray, white to the company at this point in time. They will not even look at your resumes in that case. Your resumes are looked from two different lenses at this point. From the recruiter is looking from a rejection point of view. Because this poor guy is getting thousands of resumes in a day, and he can't take the entire thousand and give it to the hiring manager. He or she would have to cut short things. As soon as they say the different colors on your resume, which is not aligning to the job description, it's easy for him or her to just put it in the rejection bucket at this point. So that does not work. The first thing that is there. If plan A doesn't work, then they go to plan B. Then you look at, okay, do I know somebody at that organization, as a brother or a sister or uncle or aunt and neighbors, and then go through that route. My suggestion is to change something out here. Here's what I am suggesting that we should go about. First and foremost, we need to figure out the fastest growing companies in India that are there. Now, if the fastest growing, that means they would need people. If they need people, are you available? Cool. Now, I'm not saying doing this, you will surely get a job. I'm saying the probability of getting a job could be a little higher compared to now. India is the land of GCCs. They are global capability centers that are opening up all across. All the names that we talked about earlier, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, FANG, all of these are GCCs, the companies that are not headquartered in India, and they're opening up their offices out here. So at this point in time, they will take people right from the junior most analyst to the senior most person that could be there. And they really need good people around. It's not easy for them to find out. So that is one thing that we look at. So I'm trying to target to be a little bit more proactive in trying to reach out to people. These two things may not have an immediate job as of tomorrow. They may have it 1 month down, but at least you create a network out this point. When you're reaching out to someone, they may remember you in that case. So again, a way of doing it. Plan B is all job portals. Again, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't do job portals. But job portals cannot be, all your eggs cannot be only on job portals at this point, the way where we are. If I were you, I will go plan A, the green side of plan A first. Try to figure out startups that are there, trying to figure out fastest growing companies that are there, the GCCs in the world that are opening up. Then go on and try to see what it is. Why I am suggesting fastest growing companies at this point? Okay. One, when these companies are growing, their resistance to take in people is comparatively less. Second, there will be very few people who would know about them. There are very few people who will be applying for them. At this point in time, the recruiter as well as the hiring manager will give more time to your resume. So rather than going to a rejection bucket in 6 to 8 seconds, that 6 to 8 seconds may convert to 15 to 20 seconds, which is a lot of time to go through a resume and impress them at this point in time. That would be there. Let me give you a demo. How do I go about it? Okay. So I will just look at fastest growing companies in India. There are a lot of lists that are there. I'm looking at this point in time called Statista. Just an example, just to walk you through what I'm looking at out here. You can take any growing company. You can even take last year, this year, 2024. When you open that, this is the list that comes across. I would like you guys to look at the top 10 names only currently. And then think of at least if you know 7 names on them. When I say 7 names, it's not like, I've heard of them, but actually you know them. What do they do day in and day out? Let me take the 10th name just for what's there. Now Purchase. Hand on heart, I had no idea what do they do. I never heard about them. Few names, yeah. Spinny, Zolo, Movin Singh, Yulu. These are names I know. I know people also out there. 6 I don't know, 7 I don't know. No. Okay. Now purchase. This is what it is. They want they're into retail and wholesale. Can you see? Just a smaller name. I'm just trying to show you. In 2021, there were 57 people. 2024, just in 3 years, they became 93. That's the growth that we're talking about. How do we grow? They need people. Now, do they have job? That's the second story at this point in time. I don't know whether they have jobs, they don't have, but at least I've got a name which could be interesting. And if they're regularly growing, that means some opportunities could come in that fashion. If you look at any other name that could be there, in general, let's look at names. 2 to 26, Exo Park. 570 to 11,000, that's again doubled. They just started. Oh, that's amazing. 529 to 1,500. So you have options. Now, this is how I do my next step. I need to network. I need to figure out people. I just take now purchase. We can even look at other names coming across, go on, see what is. Oh, Vyapar is also there. The CTO stays right above me. So 371. Wow, he's grown a lot. Anyway, okay. His skit makes a lot of noise. Anyway, I'll go to LinkedIn. Okay. First, let's see, okay, do they have jobs or not? Voila. Business development manager, purchasing manager, cluster head. Cool. Executive assistant, category sales. Now I see there are opportunities that are there. Good company to look up, go back to. Okay. Now, the next thing I would like to check on is, let's say, do I have any first degree connects or second degree connects? The first degree connects is I exactly know who they are. The second degree would be I know A knows B. So B and I are second degree connects. Still, I can reach out to the second degree connect. If he or she doesn't respond back, I can take A to get me introduced. Cool. Mr. Shah is a co-founder. I will reach out to this person. Now, this is the thing that we need to figure out. One, I'm reaching out to the second degree person. I will never ask for that job in the first go. I may tell him that I've applied for this position, but is it possible we could connect over coffee? I would like to understand what the organization is. How are you growing? What have you done in the past? 3 keywords is, can you help me? Can you coach me? Can you guide me? Anytime anybody has come to you with these 3 words, what have you felt? Going up. You feel, wow, somebody's coming up to me. So I'll try to figure out these way, the name of the companies, connect with them, trying to figure out how things are. The other way that I will try to start getting in touch with people is from, if they are in talent acquisition in that case. Okay, let me just not put second and third, they may not be there. Oh, anyway, he's there. I go connect with people in that case. So this is the first method that I will look at. Okay. Now the second method side of the place is GCCs. These are called Global Capability Centers. There are a lot of different names that they call about, but the basic idea is any organization that does not have their headquarters in India, and if they're opening up the office, they are GCCs. They do a lot of proactive reach outs at this point in time. Now, the way that you can do this is if you can draft a really interesting LinkedIn message. What makes you interested in getting in touch with them? That's the hook that we're trying to do at this point. Okay. The way that I will do it is, unfortunately, there is no list per se that the earlier that we saw as fastest growing companies in India. If you have money, you can purchase that list for GCCs. There are organizations who are doing this, but let's take there's a website called GCC Pulse. It gets a lot of information about what is happening in the GCC world. I will go check on news. The first news that we see as on 27th, ArcelorMittal is opening up in Pune. What all things they need? They're looking for digital technology, IT infrastructure, data analytics, cybersecurity, and global business services. Does this resonate with you? Does any of this make sense to you? Are you one of these people who can do that? Similarly, I will look at more names coming across. Cohere Health is opening up in, I see launch global capability center. That is the keyword that I'm searching for. Nothing else. I can start reaching out to them. I can start creating networks. Something can work out. Again, I'm trying to see, please understand this. I'm not saying these are GCCs that are opening up. They have opportunities. You'll surely get a job. Nobody can say that you're going to get a job surely. I'm just telling you a different method of looking at certain organizations that may not be in the top list of everybody. Now, let's say if freshers who are there, uh, the toughest thing is to get your first job. Once you get the first job, things roll around that. We always want to be at the top company that is there. I want to be the big four that could be there. I want to get into the Googles of the world at this point in time, the Biocons of the world that could be there. Let's say reality. I'm sorry to say that, let's say reality. Let's take the first job that is decent enough for us to grow, for us to get into the industry at this point, and then see where do we go. Okay. So for this process, the first thing is to identify the organization that we want to get into. From here, the next steps comes in by understanding the job description and the resume. Let's play this out. With the AI world, this is what happens. I will go put everything, all my past, everything, all information in ChatGPT. Tell ChatGPT, this is the job description. Within 30 seconds, you get an amazing amazing resume that comes out. Well formatted. If you have a graphical, great graphics coming across, everything there, all the right keywords coming across there. It comes to a recruiter. You're in an interview at this point in time. They tell me, okay, tell me about the project that you have written. Is it? Is it there? And believe me, it has happened. People have talked about a lot of things. When you ask them certain questions, you figure out. Please understand this thing. The person who's taking your interview has been there, done that. They understand when you're bluffing at things. So be careful in that case. I'm not saying don't use AI. We should use AI. I use AI day in, day out, but there's certain aspects coming across in an AI. You need to know what it is giving you out. Uh, it's a dumb terminal. It's garbage in, garbage out in that fashion. You don't you don't write your resume through a AI platform. You write it, in your own words. You figure out what your experiences are. You only use AI to make it into a better structure. That's it. Not create something new, but only give whatever you have written, give it as a structure to it so that it's easier for anybody to understand it. That's all we want AI for. That's a big thing that we are missing nowadays in all the resumes that I see. As soon as you open a resume, you can figure out it's an AI resume at times, because what is written and what the person is saying doesn't match. The verbiage doesn't match. The words that you have used on your resume, you're not even going closer to it at this point in time. So it's a trap in that case. I know we need to apply to a lot of resumes and a lot of jobs for, sorry, and a resume needs to be tailored based on the job. And if you're telling me to apply to 5 companies in a day, how do I take that time out? I know it's tough, but it has to be done. That's the only way that things work out at this point. Okay, so where we are now, we have identified a company. We have started looking at a job that makes sense to us. Now let's see what are they talking about in a job description. Most of the times, what do? We look at the job description and we say, these keywords that they're talking about is there. I can do it, done. Again, the same single resume that we have, spray and pray type of a thing. Words matching, done. It doesn't work like that. They're talking about experiences that you bring on the table. Also, you need to know ATS is there for sure. You need to use the same verbiage that they're using on the job description itself going across. When they're talking about, let's say they want you to come and support their investment team at this point in time to identify marketing opportunities. And you just say, I'm a final year economics graduate in your objective. It's not conveying the meaning, what they want to hear. They want to hear things like analysts seeking the help to invest, going to help the investment team to identify high conversion opportunities. These are the things that they want. These are the things that excite them. This is the 6 to 8 second telling them, okay, let's go to the next page. Let's look at the next experience that this person has. Understand this. Your resume is a snippet of who you are. It's as good as how do you go and watch a movie. You look at maybe the first few seconds or first few minutes and then decide to go for it or not. Or the or the sitcom that you're watching on any of these platforms. That's where the objective comes in place. It has to be the crux. It has to be the shade of blue that we talked about earlier should be there in alignment to what they want going across. Read between the lines. When they say your fast-paced environment, don't cancel that word. That has a lot of meaning at this point. There's a saying, guys, there's going to be chaos. I don't know what's going to happen. You need to be flexible enough to say, okay, at this point in time, I'm telling you to work on a presentation. Within the next hour, I say, go and talk to the client. Be comfortable. Understand what they're trying to say. When they say cross-functional collaboration, they want you to see, can you communicate with different people? Can you work with different people? Can you empathize with people? There are smaller things that they're talking about, but you need to understand what they're trying to say from each of these words. And finally, a lot of times we say that I prefer this tool, but for example, SQL is preferred, but Power BI is a plus. I don't know Power BI. I don't think so I should apply. Don't stop. Please go and apply still. Now, when you're reading a job description, you identify, okay, this is a gap. In general, most of the job descriptions are talking about Power BI. Parallelly, go and start doing a certification around it. But don't stop at this point in time. It cannot be a rejection reason for you even before you apply. There could be something else that is say in your resume that they see when you come and interview with them that clicks with them at this point in time. So please just don't stop in any of these points whenever you say plus coming across in that case. Okay, so where we are now, we looked at an organization that are growing, that are coming up new. We figured out a job opportunity there. We have gone to the job description, trying to figure out in between the lines of what they're talking about, going back and saying, okay, this is a skill that I don't have. Can I do something around it? Here's a litmus test. Let's look at your resume, whether it's in alignment to what they want or not. The 6 to 8 second rule comes on your resume at this point in time. Just giving you any presentation without a framework doesn't make sense. So just trying to give you a framework around it with what resume would be. And I'll be talking about each one of them in the next few minutes. Your resume needs to be relevant. It can't be the pink, the gray, the yellow compared to the dark blue that they want at this point in time. For things that you're mentioning on your resume, please be careful. You need to give them evidence. Evidence may not be certification or some product, but you need to tell them how it is. We'll look at it, what you're talking about. Skills is very much critical in trying to explain what you know. That's the only way that, see, at this point in time, when the resume comes to an individual, a recruiter, you are not there to explain things. So things cannot be ambiguous in that fashion. So we'll talk about that. Understandability comes in that place. You need to measure stuff. Just for example, let me say this. If I tell you I've developed a website that opens really fast, what's fast for you? For me, anything opening in 10 seconds is fine. I'm sure people would have said at this point in time, 2 seconds, 1 second, 0.5 seconds. There's a lot of difference when I say a website opening in 10 seconds and a website opening in 0.2 seconds. My skill sets are completely different in that case. So it can't be ambiguous in that fashion. And in your resume, the most important thing at this point in time is your experience. Then, honestly, when I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at, okay, yes, education has a measurement in my criteria to look at it, but I put in more emphasis on the experiences that you bring on the table. So we need to highlight that first compared to anything else in that case. Let's break down each one of these sections going forward. Relevance, coming with all the colors that are there, putting out there and trying to hope the recruiter understands what I'm trying to tell them at this point in time. Understand this, we have to tailor our resume to each and every opportunity that are coming across. And this is standard. I'm not saying that this is the twist where I'm going to talk about at this point in time. This is how you go about. Take the job description, take the keywords, put it on a paper, and then start answering all those key skills that they're talking about. Have you used it? Again, you should have used it, not I know about it. At this point in time, the company is not very interested whether you just know stuff. Have you done that work? Have you done a project in your college? Have you done a project around it for freshers at this point in time? For people with experience, you have to come up with a situation saying that this was the problem statement that I was solving. This is the technology I have used. This is what I have learned. This is the issues that I was looking at a senior level. They want you to go deeper in how have you used it. We are not concerned about the syntax at this point, but how did you decide in using this particular technology? What were the issues that you were facing? The senior guys, you need to talk about issues that are there on your resume compared to anything else. A lot of people say same, you don't provide any evidence. In the first case that I would set in the red that you see at this point, assisted in data collection and analysis. What data? What analysis? I have no idea what you're talking about. Again, what I'm saying seems like little basics, but each one I'm going to add a twist going forward for you to figure out what it is. We talk about in 4 years of pricing data, 6 categories, 3 cost reduction. Now you see the complexity of things that I would have done in that case. Now this is more for the freshers point of view. When you're putting up a resume, needs to have numbers coming across to talk about it. Here's for everybody. Whenever you write a sentence on your resume, ask a question, so what? And if you get a response, that means the sentence that you have written is not very clear. It's still ambiguous in that nature. In the consulting world, normally we say the 5 whys. And by the 5th why, you figure out what was root cause analysis that was there. The same thing works on your resume also. You take each and every sentence, ask, so what? So what? So what? When you're doing that, that helps you understand, makes you think in this fashion that the other person does not know you. And as soon as anybody reads the sentence who does not know you, that would be the natural way of going across it. If the sentence itself is not giving all the information, if it is ambiguous, the so what will always exist. So the so what is a dipstick that we do for every sentence, right from the objective that we write to the last line on your resume around it. I mentioned that we need to talk about skills. Yes, let's say I've said Excel is something I know. Nowadays, recruiters are getting very smart. They tell you, okay, here's the data. Work on a pivot table and tell me what the data is talking about. Okay, you know Java. Here's the IDE. Let's start Fibonacci series. Let's write a code for Fibonacci series at this point in time. In my experience, there have been people who say, I don't want to code. I will not tell you the coding at this point in time. You ask me questions, I'll answer you at this point in time. I'm not coding. That was not part of the questionnaire that was sent to me in that fashion, whatever it is. Be careful. Whatever you write on your resume, please be sure that you can present it. People in the tech world, you have an amazing opportunity of getting into GitHub. Have a GitHub ID, have all your project works on it. Immediately they can open up, they can show there, and you can tell them exactly what you have done. Proof of the pudding in that case. That would be there. So talk about that. Whatever skill sets are there, make sure that you understand that is there. What I am looking at from a point of view is skills that you can demonstrate, you can do. I don't want to, I know about it. I know how regression analysis can be done on an Excel. Knowing doesn't make sense to me at this point in time. I am evaluating you from the point of view that what experience, what can you bring on the table to help me solve the problem that I have. And if I take you, yes, in general, I do need to train you in a certain way, but if I need to train you for the basic things that you've already written on your resume, it doesn't make sense. So the key thing at this point in time is only those skills that you write in that you can demonstrate. You're quite easy at it. Open the laptop, let's start coding. In that fashion, that could be there. Open the laptop, let's do regression analysis through Excel. That would be there. Okay. First and foremost, resume, one page, one side. It's not two sides. It's always one page that is there. So students come and tell me, or even senior people, a little bit like 5-6 years experience. How do I write it in one page? I have so many experience that is there. I don't have to do it anymore. But yeah, 17 years experience, I still had a one-page resume. It's a one page because I'm not spraying everything that I have done in my 17 years. I'm only talking about those things that is needed in the job description at this point. That is what the recruiter at this point in time is going to evaluate me or evaluate my resume just based on the job description that he and she has. So it has to be in alignment to what we are talking about. While doing that, please don't work with the margins. Don't take it top to bottom, left to right, or make it really small in that case. It's like this. When you read a book, when you're taking books and all, when you're reading it, if the alphabets are really small, you will surely not like to read it. You have to, some size should be a little bigger, bolder, normal text coming across in that way. This is normal now. This is where I'm going to add a twist to what you're going to do. And I got this from one of the career coaches that is there. That's not my thought. It made a lot of sense when I heard this. Right below your name on your resume, write 3 words that define you. Now understand this. When the recruiter is what? It's basically a machine in the head of a recruiter. They know resume means name, contact detail, education, experience, blah, blah, blah. So they know the thing that is coming out. Now this is something different for them that will be there. What's this? The will give you that extra few more seconds for them to go deeper and trying to see what it is. Play with me this, okay? You're in the interview session at this point in front of the interviewer. Again, he also has the same, he or she also has the same way of looking at a resume: name, contact details, education, blah, 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 blah. I hear you say you get things done. What do you mean by that? Now understand where the interview is going. It's going to a place where you are comfortable. And again, anything that you have written on a resume needs to have a story with it. Where have you used it? What was the problem statement? How did you go about it? What actions did you take? So out here also, then again, it's an easy place. You are comfortable, your body language is positive, things go amazing in that case. Otherwise, they can ask you any question under the sun. How is Japan affecting India's GDP? I have no idea. And if that is the first question and it's a curveball for me, what happens? My confidence goes low. So we need to make sure that there has to be ways where we can try to take them to a certain place at this point. This is one thing, will take you to a place where you are very comfortable in that. Have a story around it. And from there, it may go again to Japan and GDP. It could happen, but at least you have started in a very positive note in that case. Again, star disclaimer: if you are not comfortable doing this, please don't do it. But just based on experience, I'm saying there's a different thing that people will not even go about in that case. Let me go to this level also. The type of paper that you use. The normal A4 paper is thin. But let's say if we just take it on a bond paper, which is a little thicker at this point in time, two things happen. One, the color on the bond paper comes a little brighter. You can easily see it at this point. And it's just, oh, you know, the bond paper guy, you could just be the bond paper guy and then getting that offer letter, another bond paper coming across. Where I'm trying to go in this at this point in time is trying to just do a little bit different from the other person at this point that is there. I'm not saying, again, please, I'm not saying don't go to all the LinkedIn of the world, the Naukris of the world. I'm not saying don't go to all the biggie names at this point and go there, do that. But that is not the only place that we're going. The shift that I'm talking about is trying to look at the fastest growing companies at this point in time. Look at the GCCs that are opening up in India. Resume on your contact detail, 3 words that you can use. Bond paper, slight things, but it gives you that extra edge coming across. Measurement. The earlier example that I talked about, developing a website that opens really fast, ambiguous, can't work. A lot of people come to me and say, Ki, I don't have any numbers. How do I talk about it? Believe me, every activity you do, you can quantify it. It could be anything from I reduce the time of setting up the project work from 1 week to I did finished it in 5 days. I saved 2 days. I researched 1,500 papers, 1,500 websites, then came to this conclusion. I was able to increasing accuracy, that you have done work. It will right from the project work in college to your current work that you're doing. You have always done something quantified at this point. The only thing is we don't start asking ourselves that question. So what? That will take you to a place. Keep on doing so what, you will come up with a number in that fashion that would be there. Now, in general, this is a format that a lot of places happen. You have your name. I'm talking about freshers at this point in time, not experienced people. Predominant is much more for the freshers in the group. You would have the first thing coming across would be your education. Then you talk about the certifications. Then you talk about your skills. And then comes your experience and project work. You're talking about the key thing that the individual, the recruiter is looking at the end. It doesn't make sense. You need to bring the most important point at the top for them to view. Understand they only have 6 to 8 seconds to see what it is. And you always go top to bottom, not bottom to top in that fashion. So this is what I recommend from setting up your resume, the different sections that could be there. Name, you have to have an objective coming across. Freshers, objectives. Senior people in the group talk about more summary. You need to bring in more experience that you have worked on. What problems have you seen in that fashion? Then get into your internship, then get into your experience level that is there. Your project is also an amazing way of showcasing your experience. Now, this is how I start working on my resume. Let's say you're applying for a marketing job and they say you need to know how to work on Canva. You're in college, okay? You need to give presentations. Now, I know the company or the work that I'm trying to target at this point in time, they need Canva to be used. Why would I use Microsoft PowerPoint in that case for my project work, the presentation that I need to do? I will take in Canva. I will work on Canva. It gives me two things. Anyway, I need to do the presentation, so I'm using Canva. Second, I have live example. I know that the tabs that are there. I know how to get all those things to be changed. Again, it goes as a project. It comes on your resume in that case. Hands-on experience. I will extrapolate this a little further. I will start reading job descriptions now. Let's say I want to become I'm getting into the financial analyst side of the world. I will take 10 different job descriptions of financial analysts from 10 different companies. Because the financial analyst role in all those 10 companies, their expectation would be different. Their shade of blue would be different in that case. I will create one big job description. put it to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT or any of these AIs that you're using, give me the keywords. Now I know in general, as a financial analyst across the industries, these are the key things that they want. I take a step back and say, okay, out of these 10 things, I know these 6 things, I have worked on it. Again, I know, I have worked on it. I can demonstrate things. I can quantify things at this point in time. That's where I will go. For the remaining 4, freshers, is it possible that you're learning something in your course at this point in that you can do? Or experienced guys, can you do some type of project work around it? Can you do certain certifications that will help you bridge that gap? That's how I will start going about it. Now, every activity I do in upskilling myself from a job point of view will always be driven by the job description that is there in that industry, nothing else. Because the first gatekeeper that you have is the recruiter. The recruiter only knows the job description and nothing else. So if I'm not able to fulfill the key aspects that were being talked in the job description, my resume is no good for the recruiter to send it to the hiring manager. Now, here's a different thing that I'm talking about, a twist on your resume that comes across. I talked about you have your contact details, you do have an objective, that's a given that is there. Now, let's say this. Most of the times, if you ask an actor or a director, how's this movie? They'll say, oh, you know what? This is the best movie that I've done in 25 years. Amazing that is there. How many times have you gone and seen a movie like that and you came back, seriously? 1 star may not even be good. Where I'm trying to go is, on your resume, nobody say that I'm not good at certain. You always say, I'm the best. I'm God's gift to mankind at this point in time, those aspects. You go to a movie because somebody would have recommended you. You trust someone else. This is what I'm trying to suggest to give some validation of who you are. Let's say from a third person, you would have interned somewhere, or you've done a project, or your ex-colleagues at this point in time, or people who have experience, you would have got some type of recommendation on your LinkedIn. If you not, start going after people to get recommendations that are there. Now, this is what I will do. Right under my objective, I will take one or two lines from the feedback or the recommendation that I've got on LinkedIn, paste it there with the name of the person, the organization, and his or her designation. Now play with me. This would what happen. Person looks at your resume, looks at the objective, say, at this organization, Mr. ABC has said, wow, you did an amazing job. You went out of the way of doing stuff. What did you do there? What happens now? Again, you're going to a place where that is comfortable for you. You're explaining the internship that you did, or you're explaining the work that you have done with that individual. It's not Japan and GDP at this point again. Believe me, nobody does this. It's a differentiator that comes at this point in time. Again, if you feel comfortable, if you can have a story, it's a very powerful way of doing it. But again, you need to be comfortable around it. The second input, there's more of the way that you work. Again, don't use AI as a platform that needs to generate your resume. Write whatever you want to write around it. Just take AI's help to structure it in a certain way that could be there. Now, when you're doing that, give AI the reference of the job description. Just don't keep it open-ended. Don't tell ChatGPT, you know what, I am applying for a financial analyst role. These are the projects that I have done. Write a resume for it. ChatGPT may be able to do that, but again, the output, whatever is coming in, may be ping for JP Morgan that you're applying. Give the job description has to be the base for whatever we are talking about. Okay, so where we are in the journey, we identified what we want to get into. We identified the organization that we are looking at. We started understanding the job description that is there. Based on the job description, we have created our resume. The next thing is, how do we validate? One for sure, there are a lot of AI platforms that are there. You can give your job description, give your resume, it gives you a score. That's an amazing way of doing it. The other way would be like this: give it to someone, known people that could help you out, give them the resume, give them some time to read through it. And if they're able to, while reading your resume, they can tell you, it makes sense. Whatever you've written looks like a marketing type of a job that you're applying for. Great. Resume green. You say, nah, it's chalk and cheese. I don't understand. What you've written looks more of coding that you have done, but you're trying to apply for a sales role. I don't see a match between both of them. As soon as that question comes in, it's a red. Understand one thing, there are AIs that are there are ATS platforms that are going to review your resume, but at the end of the day, it's a human who is going to evaluate you through your resume. It needs to make sense to that human that is coming across. Now, tomorrow, I'm not saying someday, I'm going to box you at this point in time because things would be fresh at this point. Tomorrow onwards, I'm going to push you to do these 3 things. The first thing is trying to figure out the 10 organizations, at least 10, that I'm going to apply to. These 10s are again not from any of the biggie names, those are separate. That's a different list altogether. The list that you get on LinkedIn, on Naukri, on Monster is a different list. I'm not counting that list. That's plan B for you. Plan A, from the fastest growing companies in India. The list was there. Take any, I just showed you Statista as an example. You can take any of them. The idea is to get a name that people may not know at this point. GCCs that are opening up. I create that list of 10 to 15 companies. I do go to LinkedIn. I figure out where they have their opportunities. Opportunity should also be there. Okay. The second thing I start doing is reading job descriptions from today onwards. The 15, 20, 30 minutes that we put on Insta, let's start putting it here. Because job description is everything when you're talking about from getting into the corporate world or trying to find your next job at this point in time. Please just don't go by, oh, the next guy is doing AI, I also need to do AI. Oh, the next guy is getting pivot tables, I also need to learn pivot tables. Figure out whether the role that you're getting into really needs pivot tables. If it's not, you're just wasting time in learning something that you may not use immediately at this point in time that will get you that job. The intent is to just do those things that will get me that job. Rest, we start upskilling when you get into there. But at this point in time, the idea is to get that job to be done. The next is, first thing is look at your resume right now. Look at so what. Which all bullet points are so what? Any of the sections that you have should not have anything more than 3 to 4 bullet points, nothing more than that. Also look at all the bullet points that we have written. Make sure your darkest shade of blue, the darkest line, the line that has the most relevant experience that you can bring on the table compared to the job description, has to be first, not the 5th line, because people will not go to the 5th point itself. You will be losing opportunities in that case. That would be there. I'll take a pause. This is me. I work with students and professionals like yourself to help you out in understanding what's next. How do I decide on my career path? So let's connect and see how it is. Sure. So I'm open to, if there are any questions, I'll be very happy to take them and go through it. If there are no questions, normally I understand 2 things. One, either I was crystal clear to explain everything that could be there to the dot, or it did not make sense. So I really hope I was not the second guy in that case.
If you have any further more questions, you can mail it to us. And if you need another session, please let us know. Thank you, sir, for the highly insightful and practical session. On the behalf of the Center for Online Education at Christ University, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Mr. Ankur Kumar for sharing his valuable time, expertise, and real world insights with our students. Your guidance on career readiness, interview preparation, and industry expectations has given students a career understanding of how to prepare themselves confidently for the professional journey. I also extend my heartfelt appreciation to all our students for your active participation and engagement. We hope this session has provided you with practical directions and motivation as you move forward in your careers. This session is a part of our continued commitment to supporting you beyond academics through initiatives like Career Launch Series, ensuring that you are fully prepared for future opportunities. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us today. We wish you all the very best in your career journey. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.